the One Fab Day Wedding Podcast.
After all the madness of planning and hosting a wedding, every newly married couple deserves a break, whether that's a staycation, a mini-moon or an exotic blowout honeymoon. But for a couple in the throes of wedding planning, organising flights, accommodation and excursions can often fall to the bottom of your list of priorities.
Which is why today we wanted to make a little room in all the wedding planning chatter to talk honeymoons. Whether you're jetting off straight after your wedding or leaving a few months to recoup your savings, it's never too early to start planning your post-wedding getaway. And we've got the perfect person in the studio today to get us inspired. Travel writer, wine aficionado, makeup artist and all-round glamorous lady Nadia El Ferdaoussi. Nadia has been to Jordan, New Zealand, South Africa and Fiji, and that's all just in the last few months. So it's safe to say she knows her stuff. Thanks for coming in.
What intro. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be so jealous by the end of this conversation.
Yes.
I'm going to be on Skyscanner, like within moments of leaving the studio. I can already feel it.
It's funny because I've been on a million honeymoons, but I've never been married.
Well, this was our first question, is we wanted to know if you were going to book your honeymoon tomorrow, where would you go?
You didn't tell me this one in advance.
Well, we want to keep some sneaky ones to catch you off guard, you know?
Well, I get asked this question a lot, and I have said South Africa for the last few years, but I went back again this year, and now that I've done it again, maybe I'd choose somewhere different.
Yeah.
Like you said, I also went to Fiji this year, and I think I would want to go back to the Pacific because I was only there for a week and it's just so exotic. It's so far away. But then I like the mixture of having a city and having adventure, having beaches and that. So I don't know.
It's hard because obviously every couple is different, and for some people they want something exotic that they maybe will never do again for the rest of their lives, and other people want to go somewhere really familiar. Like if they holiday in Italy every year, they might really want the comfort zone of that, or to explore a new part of a country that they've been to loads of times. Or to do it with a different
kind of budget, like even if you stay in Ireland, but to do it on like a big blowout budget would be really exciting.
Yeah, like to redo a holiday but honeymoon style.
Yeah.
It's true, and I've never had to think about the compromise. You know, you have to obviously bear in mind what the other person wants to do.
Oh, yeah,
so you could have to completely.
that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, what would I like to do? It would definitely involve wine and sun, but maybe the other person doesn't like the sun, or it would prefer a beer.
You probably wouldn't
holiday.
be marrying them.
I don't think it would work. Calling off the wedding.
So would South Africa be your favourite place you've ever been, or are there other places?
It's definitely one of them, yeah, because it has everything. So you've got the amazing wine, great food, one of the best places for food, I think, that I've ever been to anyway. It definitely kind of competes with the Med for like amazing ingredients and just everything's so tasty. And then you have nice weather, you've got good beaches, nightlife, wildlife, nature, you know, really has a little bit of everything, and it would keep a lot of people happy, I think.
The full package.
And then in terms of Ireland and the UK, do you have a favourite spot? Because I know a lot of our listeners will be thinking of doing a mini-moon. Right after the wedding, which often ends up being closer to home.
Yes. So I asked this question on Twitter and I was so surprised with the amount of responses. So loads of people have done it already and they were talking about their own honeymoons, and they were just listing off so many beautiful resorts and hotels around Ireland. And the kind of main theme was places where there isn't much to do. It's just quiet and peaceful, and after the stress of planning a wedding and having the wedding day, just doing nothing and not having any kind of anticipation about what the weather's going to be like. Obviously, you can't predict it in Ireland. So just somewhere where they can get away, and Ashford Castle, Adair Manor, Ballyfin. And I mean, these are expensive luxury hotels, but just to chill out and relax and do nothing.
Yeah, and if you're going on a mini-moon for 2 days, you know, you can probably justify a bigger spend.
I think so, yeah. And I haven't been to Ashford since it's been refurbished, but Ballyfin Domain is one of my favourite hotels, maybe in the world, never mind just in Ireland. It's absolutely stunning. And I'm almost sure, that's where Kim and Kanye had their honeymoon.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
They
They said it was Castle Martyr, but it was...
Yeah, they went to the cinema in Laois, in
cinema.
Port Laois. It was an iconic moment in Irish pop culture for anyone who missed it. It was great.
So if it's good enough for them, you know?
Exactly.
Me to complain. And are there any travel destinations that you know are like about to get really popular? It felt like last year everyone was in Sri Lanka. The year before that everyone was in Iceland. Is there anywhere that you think is about to get big?
I would have said Sri Lanka, and unfortunately at the moment, you know, there's a lot of trouble going on. Yeah, it was Sri Lanka. Bali was such a popular destination for the last few years as well. And I think South Africa probably is that one that more Irish people. It's been very popular for the UK for years, but I think a lot more Irish people are starting to go there at the moment. I think that will be for honeymoons the biggest. Yeah.
We have to ask as well, while we have you here, about packing, because I feel like I've got packing down, but it's taken me like 17 holidays to get there. I'm sure you're an expert at this stage. Do you have any packing tips that pertain to honeymoons?
Yes, for any, like in particular a sun holiday.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Most people would
something a bit relaxing and exotic.
Well, I've kind of pared back my style when it comes to traveling so that it's easier to mix and match things. So I will stick to black, white, grey and denim or neutrals, and then everything mixes and matches. So that's easy. Lots of linen and denim. They're always classic. They don't go out of fashion. You can wear them again, so you're not wasting money on your holiday wardrobe. And then one pieces like maxi dresses or floral one pieces, jumpsuits, play suits that you don't have to put things together. You know, it's all in one. And then I always do big hats because I like to keep my head out, face out of the sun, and big sunglasses, and then you don't have to wear any makeup.
Then you look automatically glamorous. Yeah.
Because that was going to be my next question. You always on Instagram look really glamorous and like well maintained, whereas when I'm on holidays I'm a sweaty mess and my makeup's coming straight off. So have you any beauty tips, particularly I guess on honeymoon when people want to look and feel great?
It's actually about wearing less makeup. I don't think you can keep a full face of makeup in the sun, so I will definitely try and do less. I have been wearing recently those new tanning waters for your face, so I would usually keep my face more out of the sun and wear higher SPF. Then it's usually paler than the rest of my body, so a little bit of spray on the face is quite nice, and then a bold lip colour, because then it's easy to keep on. You know, you can go for a matte shade, and then you don't really have to do much else. I would always get mink or, you know, the lashes that last a few weeks before you go away, because then there's no putting mascara on, there's no taking it off, you don't have to worry about waterproof. Taking waterproof mascara off is an absolute nightmare. So less is definitely more, and then massive sunglasses, massive hat, and then for photos, face the other way. Just
our best tip.
Just don't put your face in pictures.
Now we know your secret.
It is that simple.
And I guess a lot of our readers and listeners would do this thing with honeymoons where they go on maybe a very short mini moon and then they postpone their honeymoon to maybe the following year or even 2 years because the finances aren't there and the time to plan an elaborate honeymoon isn't there. Is that something you see a lot in travel, like kind of once in a lifetime holidays being, I suppose, like bucket list holidays? Is that a big kind of phenomenon?
I think so.
See?
And I think it's probably down to Instagram because we're more exposed to these images. So nobody was talking about the Maldives or Seychelles or all of these destinations maybe 10 years ago. So it's now that we're seeing these pictures every single day, that people, and actually it's become more accessible. It's not as expensive as it used to be. So air travel is cheaper as well, and you can get package holidays. So those destinations, these bucket list places are becoming a lot more popular. But what I always say when people are asking for advice with honeymoons is not to look at what other people are doing, to have that conversation between the two of you and decide what you want. What do you want to get out of this? You're spending so much money. Do you want to be lying on a beach just completely chilling? Do you want some adventure? Do you want a bit of culture, history, food, whatever it might be? Have that conversation, and there is going to be a compromise. So try not to be kind of led astray, because people, you know, I get it. People are asking, where are you going? And they're expecting you to say the Maldives or somewhere big. But what's big for them is not necessarily for you. And there is an element of peer pressure, I think. And I think that probably is pretty stressful.
Yeah, like we went to Belize for our honeymoon and it was amazing and I loved it, but we were so tired. Like a week on a beach in Spain would have perfectly sufficed. A nice resort, like we didn't need to do anything that big. Like it could have been perfectly lovely.
That's
to
the thing,
stay
and I
closer
think
to
people
home.
overlook Europe as well. It's so close to home, it's much cheaper, there's beautiful beaches, gorgeous food, great wine, loads to see and do. Like I've been going to Spain my entire life and there's so many places that I still haven't seen yet. So I would definitely say give Europe a chance.
Give Europe a chance.
We'll get t-shirts made up later.
Give Europe a chance, you know, because like Greece, Croatia, Italy, Spain, there's so many beautiful places that you can go to.
And Belize isn't going anywhere.
No.
You know, you could go to these
Hopefully
once in a lifetime places.
Well, there was a hurricane the week I was
Oh yeah, okay.
I forgot about that. But you do, you know, there are more opportunities in life to go to these places and arguably have more money in hand and have more time to plan it. Because I hate the idea of a couple sort of booking something because they're like, oh, we just need to get it done. We've 7 other things to worry about with the wedding, and then sort of regretting it.
I also think there'd be less pressure to have a good time. So if you're going to Belize or somewhere big like that, you know, if something happens like a hurricane or there's bad weather, is that going to be your whole holiday ruined? Whereas if you're going to Spain or somewhere closer to home, probably isn't going to be as risky and won't be as big of a deal because you haven't spent so much money, you haven't travelled as far, and you can go back probably within a couple of years.
Yeah. We got a lot of questions as well about budget-friendly destinations. Is there anywhere that stands out to you that you've been recently as particularly fabulous and affordable?
I would definitely say Greek islands. So, Yeah, 100%. Really affordable. So I went to Kefalonia and Zakynthos last year. Really last minute, booked cheap flights. Now, I think, I flew out of London, but I mean, you can fly to Athens and get ferries, or you can fly to either of those islands as well. And did Airbnbs, hired a car, drove around, and they have the most stunning beaches. Just absolutely amazing, that look like they're completely filtered and in the Caribbean or somewhere else, but there's nobody there. You don't have to pay for sunbeds or anything. They have these beautiful little Greek tavernas. The wine is really cheap. You can get ferries to different islands. There's so many islands in Greece, but those two, Kefalonia in particular, has like the most stunning beaches.
Oh, that sounds heavenly.
The food in Greece.
Yeah, I'm a big food. My stomach brings me to places rather than I want to go there. I'm like, where can I get the best food?
Yeah, and wine.
Yeah.
And if someone was to hand you €1 million check tomorrow and say, plan your dream trip, go wherever you want, stay wherever you want, where would you go?
I think I'd probably have to do multi-destination. So, like I said, I would like to go back to the Pacific, so maybe French Polynesia, Bora Bora, something like that, and do some sailing. And I would need millions for doing that because it's the most expensive thing you can do. Boats are crazy expensive. So do some sailing, and then I would have to do something action-packed. I might go back to New Zealand, actually. I love hiking and could potentially do like bungee jump or, you know, some kind of water sports, because I would get bored on a beach. I would definitely get bored. I couldn't do just that. So I'd like to have a long enough time to be able to relax and have some activities. So I think it would be long haul, and it would be first class. So a good chunk of my money is going to go for So I think one of the questions that you had said to me before was, if you were, you know, budgeting and you wanted to splurge, where would you spend that extra money? And I think an upgrade on flights.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's so worth it. It depends on if you're the kind of person who spends a lot of time in your hotel. So if you're somewhere where you'd be doing a lot of sightseeing or down at the beach and that, you probably aren't going to spend a lot of time in your room. So I don't know if I would necessarily get the best room that's available in the hotel. You're not going to have a better sleep. You know, you're still going to be eating the same food. So it just depends on where you want to spend your money. But I think the experience of having a chauffeur-driven car come collect you for the airport, going to the lounge, having the champagne when you're bored, all that you remember it. So spending it on experiences, I think, is worth it.
I guess the first class flight is an experience in itself.
Definitely. Or business. It doesn't have to be first class.
I want first class.
Claire's like, give me the good champagne, please.
They actually do have different champagne in business and first.
It's such a hierarchical situation, but I wouldn't be complaining if I was at the top of the pyramid.
No.
So you mentioned New Zealand and South Africa as places for a mix of relaxation and adventure. Is there anywhere else that would be up there with those two? Because that's one thing that I think is the majority of our readers are looking for, is a mix of both.
I think California is another great location to go. So you've got beaches, of course, surfing, water sports. You can actually be within a couple of hours skiing in mountains. It's crazy. If you go north, you can go to the wine country. You can go to Napa and Sonoma. You have LA, where you can go to Hollywood and have nightlife. Has really a little bit of everything there as well. I think you could keep most people happy there. Thailand, I guess, because you could do a few days in Bangkok and have the city, go to the markets, go to temples, do all that kind of stuff, and then fly down to Phuket and they're amazing for luxury resorts. So centered for honeymoons, and reasonably priced as well, like good value.
Yeah, Thailand, I guess you get a lot of cocktails for your book.
Yeah, exactly. Buckets, whatever.
Buckets of cocktails. And Claire recently wrote a feature on our site about buddy moons. Have you heard of this trend?
No.
Okay, take it away there, Claire. Describe it in 30 seconds or less.
Actually, we've had a couple of real weddings on the site where the couples have done this, and a friend of mine went on someone else's honeymoon. So it's a group of friends that all go away together after the wedding with the couple. So it tends to be either after a destination wedding. So like say the couple have come home from Australia to get married and they go around Ireland with all their Aussie mates.
Oh.
Or they all head to a festival or get a villa or something like that.
You'd have to be very good friends.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's a risk.
Yeah, I could see lots of issues presenting themselves.
I like the
it's
idea
your
of-
holiday, but it's
yeah.
also their holiday.
It's nice to keep the party going, but
I think if you wanted to do that, a cruise would be a really good option. Because on a cruise, everyone can do their own thing, but then you can come back together as well. And then there's never any issue with money because everything is kind of, if you've ever been on a cruise, like you have maybe a wristband and everything's attached to that. So if you get a drink, you can just charge it back or whatever. And the tip is already included. So there's none of the splitting bills or anything like that. So you can go off and do your own bits during the day and then maybe come together for meals and things. So you could probably have a little bit of both that way. And there's less of the logistics and organising. So because that could be stressful. Organising a group holiday is a lot of stress, I think.
yeah.
It would be difficult as well to, I suppose, if you're on your honeymoon and you're feeling a bit like splashing out, your friends necessarily aren't feeling that same way. So it'd be difficult to pitch the cost of things like accommodation and where you go for dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's a nice idea. I like it in theory.
I like it in theory, but I think you have to be aware of how wrecked, tired you're going to be after your wedding, and you mightn't want to be hanging around with other people.
No, yeah, I think there would have to be a really good reason for it. Like you said, if someone's coming home from Australia or something like that.
Yeah. And you've mentioned before, I know you were saying, like I saw on your Instagram that you talked about how you were trying to hit this like number of countries before you turned 30, and then you realise, I actually really like returning to all places and seeing them better. And would you be an advocate for packing a lot into a holiday or doing it more slowly and just maybe hitting one or two stops and really seeing them and really experiencing them?
Well, you're obviously a long-term follower on Instagram because that was a couple of years ago.
I just remember reading it at the time because it totally resonated with me. I was like, because I always feel like it's a bit of a cop-out to go back to the same place again. But actually, when you're seeing a new side of it or getting to know it better, it can be really nice.
Yeah, so I wrote something about going back to the same countries again, and there is that, again, it's Instagram, isn't it? It's that kind of, trying to hit the list and your bucket list and all that kind of stuff. But like I said with Spain, I've been going my entire life and there's so much there that I still want to see. I haven't been to Seville and I want to go to the Game of Thrones filming locations, and there's no kind of shame in going back to somewhere that you've already been. I have a friend who went on her honeymoon to Vegas and New York, and New York because it's her favourite place in the world. So she knows she's going to have a good time. So you're kind of eliminating a bit of risk there. So if you go somewhere new, you don't know what it's like until you get there.
Yeah.
So actually going back to one of your favourite places is a great idea, or maybe it means something to you. Maybe it's where you got engaged or whatever it might be. So yeah, I think actually if there is a place that you went and loved, why wouldn't you return? And when you've been somewhere and you tick it off your list, you haven't really seen it. You haven't seen everything. You're going to have a different experience every time you go.
Yeah.
With different people, different time of year, you're going to see different things. Unless it's a tiny place where there's nothing else to see or do, it's going to be different every time. So just because you've been there once, it doesn't mean you've seen everything. You can go to another part of it. Like, I mean, there's so many parts of Ireland that I still haven't seen. I'd love to do a road trip around. That would be quite nice. Actually, I just saw this video. Maybe you've already heard of it. It was, I think it's called Ultimate Irish Road Trips, and it was a couple who filmed their honeymoon doing the Wild Atlanta Way. I think it was from Slayhead to Achill, and they had this gorgeous soundtrack over it, and the weather was beautiful, and it just looked like the most idyllic, very simple. Like they were just at the beaches and in pubs with live music, and even though they're here in Ireland, it was still like the most amazing honeymoon. So it doesn't have to be somewhere new. It doesn't have to be somewhere really exotic either, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a great tip about like trying to, I suppose, close out the Instagram chatter around travel. Like I know I personally find it quite hard to follow loads of travel accounts on Instagram because I get so overloaded, and then everything kind of almost starts to look the same, and you feel like if you're not on a beach on a Tuesday morning, like are you even living life? So it is tricky to kind of go, well, actually, no, what appeals to me and my personality and what I want out of this holiday and how much time I have.
Yeah, 100%. Because when you're looking at Instagram and travel bloggers, that's their job. So they're doing that all the time. And also, you see a picture on the beach, then you have to go and edit it, and you have to go and come off the beach. You can't be in the sun, and you have to go and do your work. So you're not chilling out there all day having a great time. You're just seeing a snapshot of it. So, but it's hard not to. Everyone posts, the best snippets of their life on Instagram. So it's difficult not to be swayed by it. And there are some good influences on Instagram as well. You might see places that you never have thought of before. I've seen a girl recently, she's in Tenerife, and my dad lives there. I've been going forever, and I was looking at it going, wow, I did not know it looked like that. She was just in a different part, and hiking and in wineries and out on boat trips, and I was like, wow, this looks amazing. So sometimes you do learn something new. It's not always just in your face.
I suppose you can never really tick somewhere off your bucket list. Like anytime I travel to a new country, I come back and I just go, well, that's the surface barely scratched. Yeah. And I have so many plans of other parts I want to see and other things I want to do.
It kind of makes you decide then if you want to go back. Like, yeah, I like that. I'm going to go back. Or
yeah, you almost like
enough.
Are in the airport on the way home going, okay, can I book flights for my next trip back here right now?
And if you have, say, 2 weeks somewhere, how many stops would you tend to do, or how often would you move on from town to town?
If I did a 2-week holiday, I wouldn't want to move more than twice, I would say.
Okay.
Having to pack up all your stuff and move to a different location takes up so much of your time, and then you can't check into the next hotel because the room's not ready, or you have to check out early, and you can just be waiting around for transport and stuff like that. So I do think it wastes a bit of time. So if you need to factor that in to the overall, because you might be thinking, okay, we're flying, it's an 8-hour flight to get there, but if you're moving a couple of times, it's going to eat in a couple of days. So I wouldn't want to move more than twice in 2 weeks.
That's a great rule.
Yes. We should go to our Instagram questions. So we did a shout out on Instagram for anyone with honeymoon questions, and we were inundated with responses. So we'll get through as many as we can. We could do a bit of a quick fire round. Do you have recommendations for sustainable honeymoon destinations?
Not so much destinations, more so who you book with. So there is a company called Jakarta Travel, and they do bespoke itineraries. So honeymoons is a big focus for them, and they mitigate all the carbon emissions for all of the trips that are booked through them. So they donate money on your behalf of each person that's traveling to Cool Earth is the organisation they donate to, and so they are their program is the Peruvian Rainforest Preservation. So for every passenger that travels with them, they save an acre of rainforest. So looking for companies like that who are responsible more so than destinations.
Okay, so if a couple is looking for all-out romance, where should they go?
I think it needs to be somewhere secluded with little distraction. So it would be the likes of the Maldives or the Seychelles, where you've got a lot of privacy.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
What is a good place for a family moon?
I would say you want a shorter flight because that's stressful with kids. Go for an all-inclusive with Kids Club. So probably the Canaries, because you've got sun all year and there's loads of resorts to choose from, and I definitely think you want there to be lots of activities to keep the kids happy. And the adults too.
Definitely. Can you give us some recommendations for budget-friendly places to go on honeymoon?
So I definitely think you want to stay in Europe. Greek islands, like I was saying before, are so reasonable, and when you get there you're not going to spend too much. Having said that, I would be avoiding Mykonos and Santorini because they're so popular at the moment. They're so expensive.
Great honeymoon sailing destinations, please.
Well, you could do the Mediterranean, so Croatia, Montenegro is beautiful for sailing, and my favourite place for sailing is the British Virgin Islands.
So this person has written in and said, we would love to go to Asia, we want to do a bit of travelling, and we'd like some sunny weather, please. Suggestions?
You just have to check when monsoon season is. So it's different depending on what part of Asia you're going to, but it could be from around summertime until December, depending on what part. But that said, even when it does rain in these places, it rains and then it's hot again. So you just want to check the average kind of forecast before you book.
Where is good to travel for vegetarians? We wanted to go to Japan, but are worried about the stress of finding food.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Japan, but I would say India, Sri Lanka, Middle East, amazing for vegetarian food, and Bali.
I have to say I was in Japan recently and I'm not vegetarian, but even I remarked there is a lot of meat there. It wouldn't be the best solution of, there's loads of probably better vegetarian options in Asia. And
those ones, I'm a meat eater and I was just eating vegetarian food because it's available and it's really tasty.
It's part of their food culture. Yeah, exactly.
This reader asks, what's the best time to book a honeymoon? How far in advance should you start looking, and are there cheaper times of year to book?
if you're going long haul, 6 months in advance is the best time to get a good deal. So not too far in advance because that's going to be full price, not too close because they're going to go back up when there's less space. So 6 months in advance.
I love how you could just throw out numbers. I don't like when people give vague answers. I want a number. Leave your destination 2 times in 2 weeks. 6 months, please. I love it. So we actually got a lot of questions about Zika. Someone asked, is Zika still a risk for those travelling abroad? And someone else asked, what's the best Zika-free destination?
It is still a risk, but only if you are pregnant or wanting to get pregnant. So according to the HPSC website, they say postpone non-essential travel to the Caribbean, Maldives, Central America, lots of places in South America, Fiji, India, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia. It's kind of everywhere. So it's not in South Africa. This is as far as I know, but obviously double check. South Africa, places like Italy, or maybe in the USA, Hawaii would be a good option as well. So it's only if you are pregnant or planning to, but yeah, it's still a risk.
You can still get in a great sun holiday though.
Oh, of course, yeah, definitely. Europe.
Go to Europe. Give Europe a chance.
Our next listener wants to leave Europe. They say, where's the best place to go for 10 or 11 days outside of Europe?
Maybe a Caribbean cruise. So you could fly to Miami. You can go direct from Dublin and then jump on a cruise, and that will go around the Caribbean. It would be great. Or the Middle East could be a nice option as well. Oman or Jordan or something like that.
Nice.
Dubai.
Beautiful. Someone has asked for recommendations for Fiji.
I'd say go to the Yasawa Islands. They are out of this world. If you've ever seen the film Moana, it's exactly like that.
Oh.
Yeah, even the local islands where just local community live, it just looks like that. It's stunning. So lush and green, and they play every time you arrive on a new island. They play a welcome song. They have the flowers in their hair.
I love that.
It's stunning.
It sounds magical.
Nice. Closer to home, where should we go if we're staying in Ireland for our honeymoon?
So when I asked on Twitter, the Europe came out as the top hotel to go to. Everyone absolutely loves the Europe.
Wow.
And then, of course,
It's in Killarney, is it?
I think it's Killarney. Is it Killarney?
I think it is Killarney, yeah.
We'll double check. And anywhere really along the wild Atlantic way. But recently as well, I was up in Antrim, and I don't know if this is a bit controversial, but I think it's almost nicer looking than the west coast of Ireland.
It's beautiful up
there.
there.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so gorgeous. Yeah. So, coastal for sure anyway, but the Europe Hotel.
I guess if you're from the south, you might have been on the wild Atlantic way lots of times, and the Antrim coast just has a totally different vibe and look about it, so it's nice to try something that's the same but different.
Exactly. Change it up.
Someone asked, should you tell the hotel if it's your honeymoon?
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, get all the free swag you can.
Yeah.
Is
I mean,
my
you might
theory.
not get anything, but it's
No
worth
harm.
a try.
Yeah.
100% tell them. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to experience a new culture or a natural attraction, but my husband wants everything to be city orientated. Ideas.
Probably somewhere in South America. You could do Peru. You could go to Lima and have the city, and then you could go to Machu Picchu and have all the culture as well. So I think a lot of countries in South and Central America would probably provide both.
So this person wants to know, where are the best honeymoon destinations in Thailand?
I think Phuket would have the most resorts that would cater for honeymoons, like luxury hotels.
Yeah, when you really want to chill out. Yeah.
I'm booking a honeymoon to South Africa. Should I go through a travel agent? And if so, do you have any recommendations?
Yes, you can do. There's a travel agent called Travel Focus. So travelfocus.ie, and they're in Cork, and they do tailor-made trips everywhere, but South Africa is one of their locations.
So someone asked us, what are the best LGBT-friendly destinations? Interesting question.
Yeah. Miami would be a great one.
Oh, that's a great shout.
Yeah, Miami would be brilliant. Barcelona. Greek islands again. Think Mamma Mia. Italy, you can go to Lake Como or Lake Garda. Thailand is a good LGBT friendly one, and Hawaii.
Hawaii would be nice.
I will go to all of those, please and thank you. Someone has written in to ask about cruises. So this person says, I'm deciding between a cruise and a trip to Mexico. Thoughts? I mean, that seems very broad to me.
Well, do you know it's not, because you can do both. You can do a cruise to Mexico.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. So you can cruise, you can do kind of either coast, west coast or east coast of America, and do then east or west coast of Mexico. So on the east, you could go to Cozumel, and lots of those shorter or even the longer ones as well cruises in the Caribbean will stop in Mexico as well. So some of them will focus more and have a few stops there. On the west coast would be like Cabo San Lucas and the Baja Peninsula. So I would do both.
Oh, that sounds great. I think if you're attracted to cruise life, as I am, a cruise is definitely a good shout.
It's so much fun.
So this one brushes off a little bit on what we mentioned before. Should you book the honeymoon suite or the standard room?
Yeah, like I said, it's how long you think you will spend in the room. Some people just love hotels and they want to sleep because they haven't slept in months or whatever it might be. So if you're all about that, yeah, get the honeymoon suite. But if you're more into going out sightseeing and you're up early in the morning and you're not back until late in the evening, there's no point. So, it depends. The only difference would be the amenities in the room. The rest of the hotel is still going to be the same, So do you want to spend that extra money there or could you spend it better elsewhere?
You can always do a mix of both. We had like a plush room for a couple of nights and then we went off and
but you'd have to make sure that was at the end. You don't want to go from the nice room and you don't want to downgrade ever.
That's a good tip though. If you're doing a lot of like activity based things or you're doing like very active hikes or something like that, that'd be nice to give yourself a nice plush suite at the very end.
It's true, but if you have a good one and you're out a lot during the day, I always feel guilty that I've spent so much money on a hotel and I'm not there.
Yeah. No, I mean more like at the end when you've returned, your hiking boots have been packed away, you're not getting them out anymore and you want to like relax.
Yeah, and we're not going to leave this hotel for like 40 hours.
Yeah, that's a good combo. This person has asked, where should you go for a last minute mini moon? Inexpensive European destinations if possible, which is your forte, I believe.
Give Europe a chance.
Yeah.
Greece. I'm not working for the Greek tourism board.
I mean, I really want to go to Greece now.
Yes, me too. Yeah, so definitely Greece, but also Croatia started to get more expensive, unfortunately, but Montenegro is a great option. So it's just next door. It is much cheaper, much cheaper and still absolutely beautiful. Slovenia is another good option. So starting to go a little bit more east and you'll get good value for money. But when it's last minute, I go on to Skyscanner and you put in your dates and you say like Dublin or wherever you are in Ireland to everywhere and then or Europe. And then it will show you where it has the cheapest flights. And then you can go from there.
Good tip. And our final question is any UK mini moon ideas?
When I think of UK holidays, I just love the thought of old British pubs, very cosy. So I would probably look at the Cotswolds. And if not there, last year I went to Swansea Bay in Wales. And it's gorgeous because it has beautiful beaches, you can go for really nice walks, you can go out kayaking, stuff like that. But then it has gorgeous food, really old pubs, really nice hotels, and it just feels very British.
Like The Holiday.
Like The Holiday,
like
exactly. That's what I had in mind, yeah.
Like the feature film The Holiday.
Yes.
I can't believe it, but we got through all of the listener questions.
Late. Oh.
Thank you so much. Is there anything we have missed in our chat today, do you think?
I think we've probably covered...
We've covered basically the whole world.
Where would you go?
So I'm just back from Japan. So what we were talking about earlier, I would literally go straight back. Because I did sort of 3 locations there, but I would love to go back and do, 3, 4 different ones. Definitely. And I definitely want to do a cruise. And I definitely want to do...
you want to do the Golden Girls cruise?
I want to do there's a Golden Girls themed cruise where they have like drag Golden Girls shows every night. So that's basically me now. That's my new goal in life, is to save up for that cruise.
Oh my God.
I mean, my boyfriend doesn't want to go there with me on our honeymoon. But I'm going on my own. I don't care.
I'm just thinking about if I had all the money, I'd probably go to Antarctica because it's so expensive. So now that I'm thinking about that's like high on my bucket list. So I would probably do a cruise from Ushuaia or wherever it is in South America and tick that. That's my last continent, so I need to tick it off.
How cool would that be? Your grandkids would think you were so cool if you'd gone to Antarctica on your honeymoon.
That would be amazing. I feel like it's just Prince Harry hanging out there the whole time.
Does Prince Harry go to Antarctica a lot?
A lot, yeah.
Oh.
But he's got a baby to look after, Claire.
Yeah, he won't be there
Not anymore. Where did they honeymoon?
I can't remember.
There was talk of them honeymooning here. Remember, there was all of this chat about them doing a really low-key UK and Ireland honeymoon. So even the royals are a fan of a mini-moon.
The royals, Kim and Kanye.
All the royals.
Everyone wants to go to Port guys.
I heard the cinemas are really good there.
Put it on the bucket list. Nadia, thank you so much. This has been so much fun, and I'm sure everyone is soaking in all your tips as we speak.